It's nice to see everyone. Thanks for taking the time today. I'm very not used to wearing this thing, so I'm very sorry that if I look like I'm blowing things off. So my name is Tom Tovar. I am a coder, developer guy. I founded a company called Appdome that does, we'll talk about that here in a second. And my job is to kind of change the way you think about attacks and fraud and cheating and things like that, and to get you to think about it more from the perspective of making money than actually blocking those attacks, which is kind of weird. Most people don't think like that. But since I'm from Silicon Valley, Silicon Valley, we think about money first and, the other stuff second. This should go very well. So a little bit about our bona fides as a company and a place in the world. We protect almost 1 billion mobile end users. We have a one-stop shop for mobile app defense. So it's basically like GitHub, Circle CI or Travis, but for cyber. So you basically use the platform to select the features that you want. You either issue an API command or you click a button and a machine builds everything for you. So if you care about fraud, you care about anti-cheat, you care about cyber compliance or whatever, and you need to get there quickly and easily with no code, no SDK, fully automated inside your DevOps pipeline. Basically, that's what we do. We serve thousands of customers all over the world in all kinds of industries, financial service, gaming, you get the point. All right, cool, that's our bona fides. The only other bona fide I have is if anybody in here likes corgis. Anybody? Corgi's a little dog. My corgi is TikTok famous. He has 41,000 followers, so make sure you follow him. It's Walter_the corgi. He's a really cute dog. All right, awesome. So, what are we here to talk about? There's definitely money to be made in cyber attacks, no doubt. Like there is all kinds of dollars, value, currency, reputation, whatever to be made. If you start from the basic premise that every single mobile app in the world, including mobile games, gets attacked. The mean time to attack is about 137 milliseconds. So from the point in time in which you launch your application or put it in the App Store, your first attack is going to happen in less than a second. So we gather data on about 1 billion mobile end users around the world, and so we track all these attacks. 137 milliseconds is how long it's going to take the attackers to attack your app. If you assume that and you assume that's going to happen across 20 to 30% of your users, that's a big segment of your audience that you can actually turn and monetize. The challenge is that from a strict cyber perspective, when attacks happen, cyber defense, fraud defense, anti-cheat organizations, all the revenue managers in the room or the marketing manager in the room, so basically cyber attacks are bad. If you have a cyber attack, your job is to stop it. Your job is to close down the attack, exit the application, exit the experience, terminate the application, close the application, block the user, etc. Do anything you can do basically to stop the attack from happening, and that's generally the model. And if you don't do that, you just ignore it, right? You say, hey, I don't want it to block my user experience. I don't want it to get in the way of my customer acquisition. I don't want it to get in the way of my monetization. So I basically just tolerate the attacks and tolerate that. So you have one of two choices. Ignore it, put your head in the sand, don't pay attention to it, or just stop everything, stop the user experience and so forth. And if you're in marketing, which I'm sure some of you are, if you're in marketing, you don't like that. You don't like anything stopping the user from being inside that app. Man, this goes fast. All right. So question is, how do you make money on cyber attacks? What do you need? What are the 3 things that you need in order to make money? Well, the first thing you need is you need to be able to detect the attack. You need to be able to understand what's happening inside your application, on the device, or in that user experience. So there are a lot of methods and tools and systems out there that people like me use to break into the applications that you all develop. I will go over some of them today, not in any great technical detail. Are there developers in the room? Any developers in the room? Great, perfect, a small number. So we're going to have deep technical conversations offline. So this will be kind of a little bit more general. But in effect, I'll go through some of the methods that we use to break into mobile applications and show you how you can transform those into money. So the first thing you need to be able to do is to detect the event. The second thing you need is you need data inside your application in order to understand at the application level what's going on. And then the third thing you need is you need control. So you need to be able to detect, you need data, and you need to be able to control the user experience. These are the basic framework that you need in every single attack scenario that you're going to face. Now, let me preface by saying not all attacks can be monetized. Okay, there's some attacks that are just bad. Okay, and you need to understand the difference between fraud, like outright fraud, and something that looks more like a cheat or something like that. So you need to have a very clear definitional construct between the two. All right, let's start playing with some examples. One of the easiest examples to think about when you're thinking about a mobile game is app players. Okay, these are entire platforms that are used to run the game in a emulated or emulated environment, and it allows all kinds of things to be done to the application. You can mod the application, you can patch the application, you can do memory editing, you can do all kinds of things to change who you are in the game, what level you are in the game, etc., as well as speed through the game, you know, like a hot knife through butter. From a strict security perspective, this is not a good thing. From a strict security perspective, the player on this platform is bypassing all of your controls, all of your stages, all of your steps, blowing up your game economy or your mobile app economy, and probably doing all kinds of things to add points to their own account, redeem those points, etc., etc., etc. So from a strict security perspective, you say, I don't really want this. However, if you can detect that thing, if you can know when your application is being run in that environment, and you can say, I understand that it's there. I want you to think about an affiliate program or a bounty. I want you to think that these platforms are funded companies. Venture capitalists fund them, or now they've been acquired by public companies and things of that nature. If you can track those users and capture those users in the moment that they're playing that game, you can go to the BlueStacks, Mimus, and Noxes of the world and say, hey, I've got 50,000 of your users on my game. Do you want me to allow them to continue to play? If you do, pay me money. Now, I have recommended this to some very large game makers, and they have done it, and it has been very successful to them. So if you can detect it, and you can track it, you can get the user to do something, even if they enter fake user credentials into that box, which is just a suggestion, by the way. It's not an actual implementation because it's ugly as crap. But the point is, if they enter anything in there, you have a demonstrable, element in your application that a user is interested in running the game in that environment and wants to continue to do so. And someone can pay for that, right? In this little example, you don't even make the user pay for that. You make the platform vendor pay for that. You go to the platform vendor and you say, I've detected this. Let's talk. And if not, we'll block them, right? The platform vendor is charging money to get those players to adopt that platform, and beyond that, in this case, you can actually change the game on that scenario. Let's talk about something a little more sinister. Anybody know Game Guardian? Game Guardian. Yay, Game Guardian. Game Guardian's awesome. Game Guardian's the bomb. Game Guardian's like amazing. I like Game Guardian. Game Guardian is basically a memory editing tool. That's basically, you can do other things with it, but it's a memory editing tool. So what is memory editing? Any value you have in your application is stored in memory, and if I can change the value, then I'm better than anybody else. So if you have a points economy in your application, if you have levels, if you have health meters, if you have any sort of status in your mobile application, reputation, for example, if I want to take all of your 5-star reputational values and I want to change them to 1 star, I can do that. Basically, all I need to do is have some fun with basically something like Game Guardian. So, in this case, the hacker's got to do a little bit of work, because you guys know how to do a memory editing attack? You got to find the memory block, you got to isolate it down to the thing you're trying to change, that kind of thing. It takes work. It takes a little bit of work. It's kind of a hassle, right? There's tools to do it, but it's a little bit of a hassle. So imagine now I'm a hacker. Imagine now I have gone through the trouble of changing a value in a game so I can have more credits or more coins or more whatever. I've done work. And in that moment, you detect that has happened. You can isolate the memory block. You can isolate the memory block that's been changed. You can verify the before and after, and you can know that that value was added without going through the required gameplay in your mobile application, right? At that moment, you present a dialog box and says, hey, it looks like you need some more points. How about you pay for those? One transaction. If you monetize 5% of that, you're going to make money, right? So the fact is that people are doing this today inside your mobile game, and the point is you can monetize it. Let's go to another example. My favorite hacking platform of all time, Lucky Patcher. Anybody know Lucky Patcher? Lucky Patcher? Nobody knows Lucky Patcher? Lucky Patcher is the bomb. Lucky Patcher basically allows you to play a game pretending to have upgraded your experience. So you can do level emulation, you can do subscription emulation, you can do purchase emulation, you can do all kinds of things. It's a runtime tool, so you don't need to like deconstruct the application, do really a lot of work. Most of the hacks are already available via the platform itself, so you don't, it's pretty easy to kind of go and like do things. So the advantage of this is these are people who want, and by using Lucky Patcher, if you're a Lucky Patcher user, you want to use the game continuously. You're not trying to do a spot attack. You're not trying to change a given value and then get away with it. You are interested in playing that game. You are interested in being in that experience. You just want to do it at a higher level, and you don't want to have to go through the steps. You want to jump to the end and be the strong person in the game that's actually winning against others. So in that world, the idea I want to give you is think subscription. The user can go from a pay-to-play notion or a free notion to a subscription notion and say to the user, hey, we understand that you want to be able to play at a higher level, that you want to experience this game at the highest level of any other player. We're good with that, okay? Why don't you subscribe? That way you can play at any level you want to play, you can do your thing, have fun at it, and so forth. Because ultimately, correct me if I'm wrong, but every customer acquisition manager, every revenue manager, every marketing manager in this room has one goal, which is to keep the player in the game, keep them using the game. So what do you care, right? Right? If you don't detect this, they go in and out. They play when they want, they play when they not. If you do this, you can capture that user, keep them on there, despite the fact that they're using a tool to win against other players. Now this one I had a lot of fun with. I recommended this to another large game maker in the United States, and I had a lot of fun with it. So for certain kinds of games, certain kind of role-playing games, resource-based games and stuff like that, you have things that are like, they're called bots. There's no other way to kind of reference them. And essentially what they do is they play the game for you. They sit in the background and they kind of do all the actions that you would do as a human being and so forth. And so to kind of make your job easier, right? So some games require you to be online while the game is earning and so forth. And so basically you download the app onto your phone, and it basically does all the gameplay for you, which is cool, right? So what I said to the game maker is I said, well, look, clearly you have a community that wants to play your game using automated tools. So why not create a professional league, a pro league for your game? It'll be a paid-for app, paid-for version of your application, but all cheats, all methods, all hacks, all bots, all whatever are fully endorsed and fully accepted and fully allowed, on the game. You can charge for it. You charge an annual fee for being on that game, but it allows the people like me who want to play the game by hacking the game and competing with my hacks. It allows me to still be in the experience of the game, to enjoy the experience of the game. I just happen to be using my own tools, not yours. And they were like, that's pretty cool. Like that, we didn't think about that. Like that, to create an entire separate league, an entire separate category, community of users who are fully free to use whatever thing they want to use inside the game, is like, they were like, okay. Now remember, You want to be able to track these things. You want to be able to monetize these things. You want to be able to monitor these things as they're happening. But if you can get people, each one of these steps is about how do I get them to upgrade? How do I get them to buy? How do I keep them in this experience? So at Appdome, we have an entire framework for this. It's called Thread Events. It sits inside the application along with other things, and basically it does the things that you would want it to do. Inside of our platform, you basically come to the product, you configure the things that are useful in your use case. I want to detect click bots, I want to detect keystroke injection, I want to detect memory editing, I want to detect whatever. And then basically you set the system to pass that information, all that metadata and all that threat detail to the application so the application can consume it. And this allows you to basically to control the user experience and to monetize those threats and attacks. We don't have the time to go, we don't have the time to go through it, but there's some technical detail, way too small for you to read, but you can always stop by the booth and we'll share the technical detail with you. But in essence, you've got a lot of attributes. The single most important attribute is right here. It's called reason data. What reason data does is it actually gives you the exact intelligence and telemetry of the attack that's occurring in the application. So whatever tool is being used, whatever framework or method it's calling, whatever class it's attaching to or whatever, you basically will know that information automatically and then can use that in creating whatever experience you want. But as well as, there's a bunch of metadata that you can capture. Again, no time to go through that today. I'll end with a few do's and don'ts. Do delight users, basically keep them playing. Keep in mind that you can monetize in more than one way. You don't necessarily need hard currency. Soft currency will do. Trade reviews, trade 5 stars, trade referrals, trade all kinds of things, right? You can monetize it. Please make a point of empowering your developers, not blocking them, and certainly not blocking your users. I want you to keep in mind that cheaters and players are not different. It's not true that cheaters are cheaters and players are players and good people are good and bad people are bad. Most of your users are right in between. And if you think about that and you turn that around into the positive and the optimistic, you'll make a heck of a lot more money. Remember, not all attacks can be monetized. Some certainly can, but yeah, some can't. Like an overlay attack, I don't think that can be monetized. I mean, that's basically fraud, so you probably don't want to try to make any money off that. And never confuse cheats with outright fraud, like people that are stealing user credentials out of an application or things of that nature. Like, these are not monetization moments. But with that, thank you very much for your time. Remember, life is a game in all things, so have fun with it. All right? Yeah.